It's the opening night of the round of 16 of the Australia Cup, and it's a heavyweight all A-League affair to get us underway. Two-time Australia Cup winners Melbourne Victory travel north to meet a Western Sydney side who pushed English Premier League giants Chelsea all the way last week. Good evening. Welcome here to Marconi Stadium on Darragh Country in Sydney. Western Sydney Wanderers hosting Melbourne Victory. Two new eras colliding, two new coaches tasked to lead their clubs into a new direction tonight. And after collecting the first wooden spoon in their A-League men's history, Western Sydney turned to the coach of their fiercest rivals, Sydney FC, and signed Ufuk Talay at the tail end of last season. He's back at the ground where his football career began. So can the Marconi Junior lead Wanderers towards their first piece of silverware in 12 years? Melbourne Victory, meanwhile, have looked abroad. They've appointed Venezuelan Gio Savarese. His tenure began with that convincing 4-0 win over Kingborough in the Apple Isle. Tonight, they face A-League opposition under their new boss for the first time. So how will his side respond? An outstanding turnout from the RBB. They are packed in, making plenty of noise here at Marconi. Despite their struggles domestically last season, Western Sydney, it's not the worst cup record. They've been consistent. Quarter-finalists in 23 and 24. Last year they went out in the round of 16, disappointingly, against Heidelberg. And tonight, Ufuk Talay names an unchanged side from the one who defeated Tigers FC in the round of 32 in Canberra. Goal scorers DePizio and Borello both start. New signing Nick Milanovic comes onto the bench. Steven Ugarkovic makes way, dropping out of the matchday squad. There are also no changes to the Victory 11, who won 4-0 against Kingborough. Tom Lockyer drops out of the matchday squad. He deals with tightness. So 17-year-old Malik Ulakale is in line for his senior debut, the Aussie under-17 representative. Speaking of Australian representatives, Nishan Velupale, he's working his way back to full fitness after playing at the World Cup, while Denny Jeanreau is also not far away from returning to the fold for Victory. Western Sydney, under their new boss, Ufuk Talay, who played his junior football here at Marconi. Will it be a happy return to Marconi Stadium for the 50-year-old? The Western Sydney junior, can he bring some silverware back to Wanderers? 2014, the last time they lifted silver. What a famous result that was in the AFC Champions League. Their best result in the Australia Cup, a semi-final in 2017 and 2018. Adam Bavka in charge of this one tonight. And for Melbourne Victory, well, they have won this competition twice, 2015 and 2021, 4 times, claiming the A-League Championship, 3 times lifting the Premier's plate. But it's been a while for them. For a club of Melbourne Victory's magnitude to have not lifted a trophy. So maybe their Venezuelan boss is the man to do so. He's got some serious credentials. A couple of Western Conference titles with Portland 2018 and 2021. Also won the MLS's back tournament with Portland in 2020 after a return following COVID. Jordan Holmes. He gets the chance in goal tonight for Western Sydney. Lawrence Thomas still working his way back, came into the pre-season late after getting married in the off-season, and also took part in a FIFA course. So Jordan Holmes a chance to impress. He did that against Chelsea. So we're just about ready to go. Opening night of the round of 16 of the Australia Cup for 2026, the 13th edition of this wonderful competition. So two eras collide at a venue steeped in Australian football history. Western Sydney and Melbourne victory. Battle for a place in the last 8 of the Australia Cup, and this is such a bright start for Western Sydney. Hahn goes down in the box, and Western Sydney, Andy Harper, are asking immediately for a spot kick.
What a dramatic start here, Ben, to this cup tie between two of the serious heavyweights. It's a great start from Wanderers, cutting right through the heart of the victory setup. The evidence of that replay. I'm going with the ref. The balance of probability. The defender slid around legally and got contact with the ball first. No VAR, of course, in the Australia Cup.
Louis Dorigo, the man who seems to have just got his foot to the ball. Western Sydney, though, causing some real problems. And they were so impressive against Chelsea last week in that 6-4 defeat. Pantazopoulos with the cross towards Borello. And taken by Jack Duncan. If they deliver that kind of attacking verve here tonight, you reckon they could put a few past victory, but they've got some talent at their disposal as well.
Well, by and large, two teams in the rosters that have been constructed so far at close to full strength, if not completely.
So now it's Borello crossing towards Gillian at the back post.
And the Wanderers did tremendously well in that match against Chelsea. Lost, of course, ultimately, thanks largely to an assist and hat-trick by João Pedro, no less, off the bench. But I think the players, and the football club in general, but the players have taken a lot out of that occasion. And they played particularly well. Certainly have brought it into the opening exchanges here at Marconi Stadium. Beautiful night in the west of Sydney. Perfect conditions for football. Pitch a little worn in places, but this stage of the winter, after a heavy season, that's to be expected. Otherwise, it's a playing surface. One of the real cradles of Australian football over the years, Marconi.
Oh, that's what I was going to use off the intro, Haas, but I didn't quite get there because we had a chance right off the bat. Of course, former home for yourself here.
Yeah, it was a great time. Great time and a great competition. And this club, not as a football club, but as a social club, has just contributed so much to the southwest of Sydney. Unfortunately for them, Benny, their flagship football team, Marconi sitting second in New South Wales NPL, lost on the road to Manly United this afternoon. It's a huge turn-up. So the football part of Club Marconi will be on the 45 to 60-minute drive from their away encounter at Manly, licking their wounds.
So Gio Savaressa, the head coach of Melbourne Victory, you saw there, that was their football boss in John Titalitza watching on. He's had a key role in the off-season, of course, with Savaressa. He was just wrapping up some media commitments, so Andrew Durante, the head coach for the first little chunk of pre-season, and John Titalitza, of course, heavily involved in the recruitment process, and did say to me pre-game, Harps, that obviously they're still waiting for Juan Mata, but they're still looking at some international spots, and once they get the final decision from their Spaniard, they will decide how much further to take that quest for more international players. No time frame, no, put on that. Speaking of international players, there's Santos and that left edge earning a victory throw. This is Herman Ferreira, who's come to Western Sydney after a successful stint with Melbourne City. The Uruguayan really adds that steel to the back line, and they look to have recruited well. I know it's early, Harps, and I know you can't read too much into a pre-season match like the one against Chelsea, but the signs are good here. Aidan Hammond, who scored a wonderful goal against the English Premier League side last week. He very nearly repeated the dose here at Marconi.
Looking very sharp, looking very, very sharp. Aidan Hammond, as the team is in general. I mean, Victory have stabilised after nearly being put on their heels inside 30 seconds, but still, even in these early stages, they're running second best in the two-horse race at the moment. The red and black are really primed. It'll be a job well done for Melbourne Victory if they get through these opening exchanges unscathed.
Zopoulos almost puts it on the toe of Madana, another new recruit for Western Sydney, who's made the move from Adelaide. Victory, some shape on the delivery. Jelassic slip it in behind for Insera. As I mentioned before kickoff, Melbourne Victory still waiting for Denny Jeanreau and Shan Valupale to return. Tom Lockyer also out with a bit of tightness tonight. Former Luton Town captain. Played in the Premier League for them just a few years ago. Is the Argentine Ferreira just popping it over the top. Looking for a willing runner in Borrello. Thurgate looking forward to Pizzio. This will be a free kick for Victory. One thing I've noticed in this pre-season with Western Sydney Wanderers, Harps, just the improvement in mobility. There's a lot of experience in that side last year, likes of Kraevs and Barbarousis, Brillante. One thing that Vitale seems to have really replenished this side with is players with speed and age on their side.
It's certainly skewing younger, and time will tell if your initial observations can bear fruit. I don't know, I think they're reasonable, actually, Ben, you've identified. But in defence of those players last year, outgoing Wanderers players, all great CVs, and that run of games where they just kept hitting the post rather than winning matches could have changed the dial completely. Now, it's amazing how on-field results affect confidence and then physical output. 35-year-olds in the winning team can run around like they're 21-year-olds, or be perceived to be doing that. So let's see if that is actually a manifest issue here that Ufuk has looked to address, but they've certainly started very well, the bits we've seen of them so far. And Victory had some difficult moments at Kingborough as well. That was a great night down in Tasmania for the Cup. Too strong in the end with Victory, but there were some real moments for Kingborough and their fans to get very excited about. So having safely navigated that hurdle, we find ourselves here.
Franco Lino slipping in behind for Grimaldi. Heavy touch, and here's a massive chance to open the scoring for Melbourne Victory.
That's a massive opportunity for Santos. left-hand side by Victory, and as the ball came across to Carlos Mario Santos, he looked to steer the ball through the traffic. Wanderers managed to see away the danger. Terrific work, lovely cutback, and it sits really beautifully for Santos. They protected their line well, in fairness to the Wanderers' defence.
Santos, a goal scorer in that aforementioned match against Kingborough in Tasmania. Zierreis, the new signing as well, the German, along with Grimaldi and Jelassic. Madana's pass, not connecting with a teammate.
Just looking for a little return ball there, too much meat on it from Nash Madana. Pizio was the man in the vicinity. Not too much on it.
First meeting, surprisingly, between these two sides in the Australia Cup. 37th all told. Victory tipping the scales in their favour, 17-13 with 6 draws. Jelassic has a tight angle to work with. Grimaldi. Madana picking up the line for Brandon Borello. He'd love a few more goals this season. Brandon Borello has played 13 times for the national team. Last season, just the 4, but got one in the round of 32 against Tigers FC. Confident Borello would really have Western Sydney up and about, and they want to hit the ground running. Round 1, opening match of the season, facing off against Sydney FC. Hammond tries to knock it over the top for Gillian, and now Melbourne Victory attempting a break. Holmes off the head of Insera.
Well, it's flattened out into a very even contest. I don't mean that in a negative sense. The Wanderers had the jump out of the blocks. The Victory have clawed their way back in to establish some sort of parity in the flow of the game. A lot of tackles flying in, plenty of bite in the contest. Vagaries of a random draw in a cup competition occasionally do present offerings of big clubs in early rounds, and there's a lot at stake apart from just winning a cup, which is of course accompanied by a whole lot of prestige. Now there's access to Asia, which presents a real opportunity for clubs, and neither Victory nor the Wanderers want to fall foul of that opportunity at the second hurdle, which the round of 16 is. Plenty of commitment being shown by both.
And Melbourne Victory, the beneficiaries last year of course, Newcastle Jets winning the cup, but then going on and winning the Premier's Plate. So therefore, Adelaide got the playoff spot, and Melbourne Victory snagged that AFC Champions League 2 spot, with Auckland being ineligible, and of course Heidelberg as well deemed ineligible to qualify after making the Australia Cup final. So So they'll get that campaign underway just before the start of the A-League season, that month before. And Adelaide, well, they'll find out which competition they'll play in on Tuesday. They've got the clash with Vietnamese opponents. So they win, they'll play Champions League Elite. They lose, they'll go into the AFC Champions League 2. Panterzopoulos poking it over the top. And it's coming back with some interest here. Bounces into the path of Liam Gillian, who will be really chomping at the bit this season. Excited at more opportunity, it would seem, at Western Sydney. Only played 9 times last year for Auckland in the A-League. Man, no starts. We know he's a talented player. He's represented the All Whites, won the OFC Champions League Golden Ball a couple of years ago when he was at Auckland City. Slipping it through for Nduka, and it was Ferreira who just got there in the nick of time.
Through ball again. Jordan Holmes quick off his line. Ferreira strong on the turn. He's a sensationally strong defender. Herman Ferreira, great pick up from the Wanderers. He's prominent already in the opening 16 odd minutes here. Victory coming really good. Going forward, they've caused a fair bit of nervousness in the Wanderers' defence.
So the cross swung in. DiPizio gets it away after the initial header from Borrello. Gersbach sliding in. Davidson. Victory's captain, and to Rigo, Valadon. Jelassic goes down wanting the whistle, and Adam Bavkar took a moment and decides it was worthy of a free kick. Just having a little nibble there. So some good targets. Charles Nduka, 3 goals in 10 appearances, came mid-season. It's Melbourne victory last year from Japan. Also got their German recruit in Philipp Zierreis, who was playing in Bundesliga 2 last season in Germany. And it's hung up towards that back post area where Zierreis was. It will be a corner kick.
I'm not sure if the Wanderers defenders didn't get in each other's way there. No Victory attention on the ball. It's an opportunity to head the ball clear and safe rather than for the corner, so it's more defending for the Wanderers here.
Adam Bavkar just reminding everyone in the box. And an opportunity for Western Sydney to break quickly. That was snuffed out by Valadon. And Western Sydney, they want to keep moving it. Victory have done well enough just to stop that threat.
I think Hammond got away with one a little bit there. Quite rough control, and Valadon might have got away with that another day, probably would have.
Holmes looking for a target in Borello. This is going to be an interesting battle, isn't it? Nduka versus Ferreira. Came up against each other. Melbourne derby last season with Ferreira at Melbourne City. Still two massive clubs in the A-League. And as you said before, Harps, he looks a really good pickup early days in this one. They just were struggling for a bit of experience in the back line last season. Alante did spend some time there, but we know that's not his go, playing at centre back. That combination with Pantazopoulos, I'll be hoping builds into a really strong one. There he is with the header away.
Game just a bit bogged down. Very physical. Players under the intense attention being offered them by their opponents, finding it difficult to control the ball. That'll settle down as players across the park gradually start to fatigue coming into half time, and at the moment both teams are doing a sensational job at digging in and making sure they're the ones that edge an advantage. Try and insist that it's their opponents who do the wilting, but there's no sign of that at the moment, which is making for a lot of turnovers. A little bit of a bumpy pitch is playing into that as well.
This is neat work down the left from Maldi. Ferreira with the header away. It's going to be put to work again here. The Argentine, he launches this into the path of Borello. Haven't controlled possession down Victories into the ground for a little while. Western Sydney start the match well, had a chance within the opening 30 seconds, probably the best chance of the game so far in that period of the match. And there's a deflection off Thurgate, which will favour Jack Duncan. I was saying to both staff before the game, Harps, it's unfortunate that we really only get a short glimmer at these two new eras, because one of these two sides is going to be knocked out, and then we've got to wait till October for the next step in the chapter. Yeah,
that interminable wait for the start of the A-League every year. Just as an aside, Benny, it's really crazy. 20 years or so since the comp started, the topic of season length comes up, often raised by national team coaches, by the way, saying this off-season is way too long and the players need to play more games. And every time it comes up, administrators just do the turtle, pull their head into the shell, wait for something else to come up, and nothing ever happens. And we have this 5-month wait every year. So you're right. That's another reason why a win here tonight is so important.
Well, you get a bit jealous, especially going over to America during the World Cup. The MLS, they're already back after the break over the World Cup. So do look on with a bit of jealousy when you've got a massive competition like they do across the calendar year. Sarah, little flick. Torrigo wanting to earn it back.
Once again, bad communication. It's going to work out for the Wanderers, but I don't know why Mickey DePizio needed to head that ball.
Thurgate's attempted cutback.
Which was falling to Panache Madana, and they've been scrambling since. The Wanderers, and now on the break, it might be Victory who wriggle clear and make something happen here.
Took a fair bit of time to release there, Grimaldi, and it maybe just took a bit of the speed out of the attempted counter. And Sarah's cross is too deep for the run of Grimaldi. That's the thing, it'll just take that slight opening. There is not much, as you can tell, between these two sides. We're expecting that as well. Santos adjudged to come through the back of DePizio. Goes back. Lovely curling pass in front of Gillian. But here is Zirais using that experience to earn a free kick. Mentioned before, he was playing in Bundesliga 2 for Greuther Fürth.
He got sucked into this one. William Gillian. Nothing but the idea of trying to get around the defender and tow the ball in, but didn't read the body language of the experienced German.
Valadon over the top. Santos. Here's Lino showing his fitness to get up that left edge. Fortunately for him, it wasn't rewarded.
Just getting the wrong side. Jason Davidson looking pretty sprightly too. In the autumn of his career, shortly.
35. I'm having a double check that, Harps. He doesn't look like a 35-year-old, but maybe that's the new 35.
He's not moving like one either. No, exactly. He's looking terrific, Jason Davidson. Very sharp.
I think Daniel McBrain only retired last year, and how old's he?
Old.
Comes up for offside against Nduka. Quick shout out as well, Harps, to Robbie Thompson. He's actually in France at the moment. He said him and his son Henry have taken a break from sandpapering the walls to tune in. So, Robbie, looking forward to having you back in the country soon. Hope you're enjoying your time back in France. He'll be ready to go for the latter stages of the Australia Cup. Which one of these two sides is going to book their spot in a quarter-final? Oh, this could be a question for the referee. Adam Bavkar says nothing doing. He's caused more than a few problems here tonight, Santos.
Well, in what's become a very keenly contested and scrappy at times tussle, it's the Victory who are eking out anything like half chances. Madana's header sliced off the top of his head, played Clarice Mario Santos in on goal. He's wondering why he didn't get a more favourable decision. It's a goal kick for the Wanderers. But on replay, you could see that the defender got none of the ball and all of Santos.
Gersbach, not enough of a nudge in the back for a free kick, so Hammond's off, or Zirais, I reckon he could be in trouble here. Well, Adam Bavkar went straight to the pocket, And the German is into the notebook, the first of the night.
He's looking a little irritable, and I'm not sure if his waving of the arm there was directing the referee's attention to the penalty area. And Carlos Mario Santos, to the extent that that's true, is looked like a push on Jelassic. Maybe that's what Suarez was suggesting. Hahn goes down under his close watch.
So, who do Western Sydney look to here? The in-swing of Thurgate, the outswing of DePizio. Madonna looks a decent target. You know Pantazopoulos is going to be around there as well as Ferreira. And it's Thurgate to the near post, and it's Barillo who guides it into the lap of Duncan in the end. Zirais forward. Pushes off the head of Nduka, who has pitched it back off Pantazopoulos. Just squeezed up against the corner flag, and Western Sydney with a goal kick.
Well, so far, Victory fans watching, trying to make what they see and see what they make of their team, and the new coach who's spoken since he's been in the country and since he's been asked about the type of play that fans can expect.
Santos again bearing fruit that ray, but Western Sydney managed to snuff it out. Ferreira with an important intervention, and then Western Sydney threatened to break, but maybe just a bit of pre-season rustiness, just showing they were unable to execute that break.
But I think the early signs, half hour in, against a strong opposition like the Wanderers, is that he's living up to the billing. There's a real positivity and very aggressive mentality for Victory.
Lino with that early delivery, and Ferreira has to concede the corner kick.
And that's ever, as he said, he wanted his team to be. Team to go out and boss their opponents and get into their face and force the issue. I think we're seeing a pretty strong reflection of that in this opening half hour.
Can they find that all-important opening goal? It's a little change up from the corner, and it doesn't quite go to plan for Melbourne Victory. Frustrating moment for Grimaldi. We know how important it is for the A-League, these two sides, to have successful seasons. We know the fans that they can bring in through the gates. Here's Gillian, just causing some real pressure. And as you mentioned throughout this first half, Hubs, it is tough with the pitch this time of the year. A lot of traffic over the winter months, so it is a little bobbly. It is a little bit hard for the centre-backs to deal with the bouncing ball.
Let me say, Benny, it's a lot harder for the centre forwards to deal with the bouncing ball with the centre half right up there. Right on the hammer, if you know what I mean. It's probably the single factor that's denied either team to make a series of raids directly on the opponent's goal, which is really tough to set a pattern of play. But of the two, it's Victory who've been the more impressive. The Wanderers out of the blocks really quickly and have looked sharp enough, Western Sydney, but I'd say over the course of the first half been shaded by a very boisterous Melbourne Victory approach.
Thurgate, the ricochet of Valadon. DePizio was able to find that pass, but Morello couldn't make it happen. Things just starting to open up a little more for Melbourne Victory. As you've touched on Harps, they are really warming to the task Victory, and as you said, shading this first half. They'll want a reward for it. Sarah's throw, straight to the head of Gersbach. Thurgate did excellently well there, Angus Thurgate. Forage for possession, won it back. Now it provides this opportunity for Western Sydney that Lino snuffs out.
Yeah, the recovery too good from Lino. Very impressive young prospect. And just a bit rushed from the Wanderers. They've not been able to settle in possession, but first time in over half an hour that they've been able to break through midfield by my calculation. Aidan Hammond just rushed his pass.
Melbourne Victory driving forward. Again, a pass that just takes the air out of that attack. Cicluna, the season awaits him for Western Sydney. Scored a wonderful goal against Chelsea last week, along with Hammond, Pantazopoulos, as I mentioned before, and also Lual, who's on the bench tonight. Another goal for him in the NPL New South Wales last week, so he's got 20 for the season. It's quite an impressive haul. Leading all comers. That's not just Golden Boot leader for Western Sydney, that is in the competition. When you look at both benches, Harps, as discussion will probably come more early in the second half, just sense Western Sydney probably have more depth in that department, maybe from a creative perspective, with Nick Milanovic sitting there on the bench. So Melbourne Victory really want to make the most of this start to the match.
Yeah, well, Milanovic's return to the team is going to be hugely awaited, I'd say, from a Wanderers fan point. Things didn't quite go as he'd imagined with his move to Scotland. So back to relaunch, serve the club of his youth.
Hammond, Thurgate. Nice turn from Gilliam. Well, it did look like he turned nicely, but then the heavy touch. Western Sydney win it back through. Madana takes on Valadon, who's chased him all the way to the sideline. And then one possession back. And there'll be a free kick for Victory. Much to the frustration of the home fans, who just finally felt there was a slight opening. There's been very few for them in the last probably half an hour. Don't forget as well, Australia Cup round of 16 tomorrow night, another All A-League battle. Brisbane Roar and Sydney FC. 5 p.m. before South Melbourne entertain Fremantle City at Lakeside at 7:40. That's a very nice draw for South Melbourne. I feel like they can really push on to the latter stages the cup competition this year after knocking out Adelaide in the round of 32. Gillian, nice touch inboard for Hammond. Opens up the far side of the field. Thurgate left his pass a little short. Melbourne Victory trying to launch the other way. Set up for Grimaldi. But it's certainly not a position we've identified you want to be in, Harps. Trying to control a bouncing ball in the middle of this pitch. Gillian versus Insera. Nice early ball. Flashes across the face where Brandon Borello was attacking at that near post. Oh, Ferreira. Little stumble.
Yeah, Liam Gillian's looked really tricky down the left-hand side for the Wanderers. He set this up beautifully, getting the required space from Josh and Sarah, who's been strong for Victory too, but Gillian beat him here. His touch has been nice so far. The Kiwi ball looked dangerous. Just needed some more help in the box, did the Wanderers.
Now, Harps, so the new rules with goalkeepers going down, are they in force for the Australia Cup?
I wouldn't have thought so. That would be a post facto inclusion, wouldn't it? I think the start of the A-League is when those new alterations are going to be trialled.
So the captain would have to spend some time off the field. Of course, we saw different rules in the World Cup as well. But a little problem this for Western Sydney. Of course, Lawrence Thomas not in the squad tonight. They've got Tristan Vidakovic on the bench, who has played in the A-League. 3 appearances for him back in 2024. Looks to be okay. Maybe gives Western Sydney just a chance to reset things, even though they've been probably slightly more dangerous in the last 5 minutes or so. That latest chance for Brandon Borello after the run of Gillian. This will be a Victory throw. Almost 90 seconds remaining. Regulation time in this first half. Probably won't be too much stoppage time, only for that Jordan Holmes injury a moment ago. Another meek way for that little foray to end. They've provided a wonderful soundtrack to this first half at Marconi Stadium. Thurgate. Gillian. A throw for Western Sydney. Can they conjure up something right before halftime? These moments, speaking to Victory boss Gio Savarese before the game, really a focus for them. These kind of situations in the game, especially right before halftime. Moment where you can start to think about the break coming up. You take one moment off the job at hand, things can change. Gillian with the cross. Oh, awkward deflection came off Davidson. Now Cicluna unable to get that on target after a little bit of fortune there with a deflection off Davidson and Ziras.
Well, again, it's Liam Gillian. They could not lay claim to the victory rebounds, but the offering in the first instance was good, and Cicluna, that set up quite nicely for him. And here we have the first half bookended, Benny, by the Wanderers with a great chance inside 30 seconds, and not really another one until that ball bounced up for Cicluna to shoot, albeit waywardly.
So just the 1 minute of additional time in this first half, which is very nearly expired. And that is half-time here at Marconi Stadium. A very tight first half between Western Sydney Wanderers and Melbourne Victory. Western Sydney with a wonderful chance inside the opening seconds of the game. Big penalty appeal, which was waved away by Adam Bavkar. Victory then came into the game the back end of that first half. But half-time, Western Sydney Wanderers 0, Melbourne Victory 0.
What are you doing?
We're planking.
It's because of our internet providers.
We're stuck in 2011.
Same slow internet speed.
And high prices.
It's like a nightmare.
Enough planking. Superloop is a network purpose-built for the super-fast future of the internet. You are free.
Don't take it lying down, Australia. Refresh your internet.
Australia Cup round of 16 for 2026. And Melbourne Victory, the two-time Cup winners, have travelled away from home to take on Western Sydney Wanderers, semi-finalists almost a decade ago, 2017, 2018. Can they clinch silverware in the Australia Cup for the first time under Ufuk Talay? Well, the next 45 minutes will go a long way to answering that question. Brandon Borello. A good chance right at the end of that first half. He's got the ball at his feet. Underway in the second half. Western Sydney, Melbourne victory. Locked at 0-0 at halftime. And Andy Harper, this will be an intriguing second half because there wasn't much between the sides in the first.
No, the scoreboard doesn't lie, Ben. I think victory probably shaded it, but it was a really tight match. Difficult for either team to exert any sort of control over the game in possession.
Maybe a chance again here for Western Sydney right out of the interval. Adana. It's the run of Thurgate. Santos nailed his defensive responsibilities.
Now, the pitch conditions aren't going to improve over the halftime period, but be a couple of soothing words from a coach. And as players start to get more and more tired, some space might open up. It's pretty frantic to get the second half underway again, however.
I wonder whether that has been a message from Ufi Talay, because I remember against Chelsea last week, same thing right out of the blocks. They came flying out in that one, and same deal in the first half as well here. Problem is you don't want to just do it for 2 minutes and then it evaporates. You want to try and maintain it. You know, that was a real strength of the Premier's plate winners last year, the Jets. They scoring goals in that first 15-minute period really sets you off on a great note. And we remember that was a real hallmark of Kevin Muscat's Melbourne victory, the way they just would come out and swarm opposition sides to begin. Ferreira with a heavy touch. You can't blame him though. It did bounce up awkwardly. Talay back here at the ground that he played his youth football at. Played his first senior football, 1992. Was here for a few seasons before heading to Turkey with Galatasaray. And he's opposite today in Gio Savarese, 30-time Venezuelan international. Played in his homeland, US, Italy, the UK as well, before settling into coaching with New York Cosmos and then Portland Timbers. Red and black block. A really pretty side on a cool night here at Marconia. A wonderful atmosphere in stadium of a perfect size for this Australia Cup fixture. DePizio. So coming together there. Borello, lovely touch, and brings a corner here as Gersbach attempted the cross.
Well, that seems to be the way the game is going to break open. Either a ball bouncing to a free player after a mad scramble of pretty ferocious challenges, and this is a great case in point. DePizio flying in, bodies tumbling everywhere, and then as it squirts out to Gersbach, the ball in, deflected for a corner. That or a fast break, I think, is going to be what splits these two teams. Maybe a set piece. Let's see how this corner goes.
Well, it's how they scored their first goal against Chelsea last week. Western Sydney. Panterzopoulos was the man who got the ball over the line at the back post. That's where he is here. Thurgate's got some shape on this, and it was Pantazopoulos throwing himself about there. That man Santos was dangerous from an attacking perspective in that first half, but to do a little bit more defensive work in the second. Madana. Thurgate. DePizio again. Goes scrapping for possession. Pantazopoulos. Now Cicluna. Sees the unmarked Madana. And another corner on the way. So this is a bright start for Western Sydney to the second half. Miggy DePizio standing over this corner. He's excited to be back in the west of Sydney. Played his youth football at AC United. That corner is punched away by Duncan. Spills for Hammond. And it flashes across the face of Jack Duncan's goal.
Yeah, it did look like for a brief second the victory might be in a bit of trouble there. There's a really nicely swung in corner. Duncan does well scrambling in the first place, and for the first half of that ball's trajectory you thought this one might be ducking inside the post, but it just curled wide.
You just felt like Jack Duncan was more hoping than having actually measured that one to be going across the face. It was a nice snapshot from Aidan Hammond. Really impressed against the English Premier League heavyweights last week. Scored a brilliant goal. Davidson. So is there a chink in the armour? One of these two sides identify something. Otherwise, it'll mean into extra time we go. Funnily enough, Victory have never gone into penalties in the Australia Cup final rounds. They have a couple of times in the playoff stage. Just 3 matches have gone into extra time in their Cup history for a win and a couple of defeats, including last year against Olympic Kingsway in the round of 32. Madana overhits that pass towards Borrello. Western Sydney have had 4 for 2 wins and 2 losses, and a couple of penalty shootouts for them. Still a long way off that, but the tightness of this match suggests we could go deep into it. Here's a moment here for Victory. Santos's header and his speed able to catch up with it, but Madana smothers that opportunity to move it quickly. Lino didn't quite get the distance on that throw. I was thinking there, Harps, whether they were going for the long throw victory, but Lino, wasn't much juice in it.
Well, that was really nothing. It was neither crafted nor long. The end contribution from Claris Mario Santos sort of summed that up. He's in a difficult position, the Brazilian, but his header lacked any forethought. Straight out for a goal kick. Promising field position for victory squandered.
Just wonder whether they do have a long throw option, because certainly becoming an important part of modern football. So we were wondering when these changes would be forthcoming, and of course the man to come into this game is Nick Milanovic, the Johnny Warren medal winner from a couple of years ago. And listen to this appreciation. Two seasons with Western Sydney, 2023 to 25. And he played 15 times for Aberdeen, Scotland last year. Almost involved here, trying to link with Borello. Duca in a tussle with Pantazopoulos, now Thurgate, Ferreira and Madana. So what can Nick Milanovic, what imprint can he put on this game? Nice couple of touches there. And Valadon just to close him off.
He's been terrific tonight, Jordi Valadon, and it's been a really physical game, but he's been one of the outstanding contributors, not just for victory, but across both teams. I think he's worked really hard, very effectively as well.
So DePizio, the man replaced on the right. This is the man on the left in Liam Gillian. Victory, massive opportunity here, Grimaldi. And left the pass short for Santos. Swung over to that right side. Victory. Opportunity knocks here, and Ducre's got Jelassic in the middle. And Ferreira shut it off immediately. And that ball too heavy and too high for Keegan Jelassic.
Oh, that was a wonderful opportunity for victory, and the fact that Charles Nduka had to bring the ball back onto his left foot, I think, killed the chance. Jelassic was free in the penalty area, but by the time Nduka had neglected the opportunity to deliver the ball with his right foot and cut it back to his left, the Wanderers had regained their defensive positions.
Now another opportunity here for Santos. And the game just starting to open up a little bit. Now it's Aidan Hammond herring down the centre. Left the pass short on Gillian. And now it's Melbourne Victory's turn. How often have we seen it, that final pass just lacking the desired weight? Valadon earning back the ball for victory. Just further emphasising Harps's point about his performance here tonight. This will be a free kick earned by Grimaldi, and most Simpson players just have a moment to take a breath.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair critique, Ben. It's been so frantic. It's in such conditions, it's sort of hard to expect players to earn the space to play the more constructive football that both would like, and of which both are very capable. It's on the moments when the game has opened up that a makeable pass has been underhit, badly executed, which is fair critique, and Aidan Hammond was on the charge through midfield, plenty of time and space.
Grimaldi straight into the box. Just intrigued here, Harps may have seen there on the wide shot. Santos was unmarked, no one on him down the left. I was surprised he wasn't utilised there. Considering the damage that he's caused to Western Sydney, you'd say probably the most dangerous of any Victory player tonight. Now Hammond pressuring Duncan. In Serra now. So into the final half hour of regulation time we go. Still no closer to knowing who will make their way into the last 8. Melbourne Victory last made the quarterfinals just a couple of years ago when they went all the way through to the final when they were beaten by the Bulls. Western Sydney quarterfinalists the same year when they were beaten by Adelaide in extra time, 2-1. That's the thing about Western Sydney. You look back at their cup history and they've consistently got their way past the round of 32, got to quarterfinals, semi-finals. It's not quite that final stage. Can that change this season? Madana versus Davidson goes to ground. Referee gives the free kick. I was wondering, Harps, whether he could have maintained his feet there.
Possibly. He did very well to make that space. Davidson's been good tonight, but just couldn't leg it with the younger and very athletic. And Ash Madana gets round him once, and the second time just leaning in. It's a little bit too tight on that occasion, and he did clip the heels of Madana, so I'm not quite sure what realistic opportunity Madana had to stay on his feet. But it's the free kick for the Wanderers. Handily placed, real pressure on the Victory defence here.
So both centre-backs now for Melbourne Victory on yellow cards. So that an important note as we head towards the latter stages of this one. So Fergate and Milanovic standing over the set piece. Driven in low towards Gillian. Jelassic clears it away to safety for the moment for Victory. Cicluna up in the direction of Milanovic, who kills it on that first touch. Fergate, Milanovic. Right down to the byline. There for Western Sydney, but Madana first to react. Clearance away to Fergate. Cicluna. It's a disappointing moment for Dylan Cicluna.
Very disappointing. He's found his range difficult tonight. Difficult to get hold of. He was so good in the Chelsea game. Hasn't quite brought that form here this evening. He's worked really hard, but bouncing that last free kick in to the unsuspecting Liam Gillian. The first real period of the game there, Benny, of sustained possession for a team around the penalty area of their opponents. The Wanderers managed to have 4 or 5 sights at the target then. First period of sustained pressure they've been able at least to mount.
So Victory with Santos. And it's a real scruffy shot. Goals for him last season. the Brazilian.
Yeah, well, that one never really looked like troubling the scorer. He's capable of the spectacular, though, the Brazilian.
Milanovic trying to help it on towards his captain. Barello. Not having many options here. Did as well as he could, and going to pick up the scraps here. Western Sydney, but Santos dropping in. That's one thing he's done excellently tonight. Spoken about the threats he's given Western Sydney defensively, but he's also done the work.
The way this game is going too, Benny, and it's still pretty helter-skelter. I understand the reasons for that, but that much ball bouncing around and that much ball being played in the air, you wonder how long before Harry Sawyer comes off the bench. Not wishing to typecast him at all, but still, he does have an enormous advantage in that part of the game. I wonder how long it is before Victory look to try and make something of that advantage.
Could cause a nightmare. How many A-League games have we seen where he's caused the centre-backs absolute carnage, especially when you're trying to hang on to an advantage late in a game. Well, he scored a hat-trick against Caroline Springs George Cross about a month ago now in Victory's pre-season. But Gio Savarese happy to retain his starting 11 for the moment. Milanovic is inquiring here about a corner. The referee says no, it'll be a goal kick. Helped on by Barello. Hammond breathing down the neck of Davidson. And that's a very calm turn amid the pressure there Hammond was applying. But here he comes again, Aiden Hammond. This time tied up against the sideline. So Western Sydney, in terms of experience on the bench, Jared Carluccio laid off a lovely assist for Luau in the match against Chelsea. I feel like Luau will not be far away, considering he scored 20 in the NPL. Here's Hammond's opportunity. Tight angle for him and straight into the gloves of Duncan. Even if he did get a touch, it wouldn't have mattered if I came up for offside. Fairly easy pickings for Jack Duncan. Strike of Hammond. So Victory on their bench. They've got Sawyer, as Harps mentioned, Brendan Hamill centre-back, so you wouldn't expect to see him until potentially right at the death of this one if Gio Savarese feels he needs to replace one of his centre-backs. They are both on yellow cards, and then it's the young brigade. Franco Lino on the outside. So Cluna clips it forward to Milanovic. Looking forward to seeing that combination further develop as Grimaldi has a pop.
Nice footwork from Jelassic and to help the ball on, and in that instance too, to set up the first chance. But Madonna slides in and sees Franco Lena have to turn away. It was in the subsequent attack on goal where Tomasic again showing a beautiful slide of foot put Grimaldi in front of goal. And it was a reasonable option for Matt Grimaldi to shoot, just couldn't control the effort. It's as close as victory have come in this second half. Maybe this field has a slope running left to right as we're watching, because Victory managed to have the run of things in the first half, and you'd have to say that so far in the second, that's the way things have panned out for the Wanderers as well. No really telling efforts on goal yet.
Final 20 minutes of this one. Doesn't have extra time written all over it. How often do we see it? Two A-League clubs doing battle in the Australia Cup round of 16. Very limited openings in this match so far. And with some tired bodies out there, just wondered, is there a moment here in these final 20 minutes to settle it in normal time, or will we require the extra 30?
There's no hurry to get the ball back at all from anyone. Jack Duncan's making his way over now. Players happy for the breather, it seems.
Are you surprised at all, Harps, we haven't seen a change from Melbourne Victory?
Yeah, I think so. They found it hard to get any sort of foothold in the second half. It's really been a Wanderers' physical onslaught, which was what Victory offered in the first. The ball's still just bouncing around in pretty unforgiving sort of circumstances, it seems.
Here's some space for Milanovic to work with. Madonna driving in on goal, and Panache just didn't get the direction right, but there was more of an opening for Wanderers.
It did open up nicely. Milanovic helping the ball on beautifully. It's a rare moment of space, which this time the Wanderers make the most of. And a couple of touches, it's not what was required. Panache's first touch didn't really provide him with the advantage. Still backed himself to shoot, which was not unreasonable, but that wasn't particularly impressive execution either. But it's a willing run. He's looked pretty dangerous up and down that right-hand side. Madonna.
He's had some seasons ruined by injury. And last season, 14 appearances for Adelaide, but only the 2 starts. Regards Alfonso Davies as a player he looks up to. Speaking of injuries, unfortunately for Alfonso, ruined his World Cup experience. Wobbling ball, close one by Thurgate. Ferreira, gee, he asked a lot of Madonna there. Apologises to his teammates. Lino. He has taken an age for both of these throws. Still look over to the Victory bench, nothing doing. Final 15 minutes now. Ufi Tale is going to go to his bench.
Even the Victory subs have stopped warming up. Just have adopted the role of pitchside spectators at the moment. All up on their feet, not particularly doing anything, so no energy at all for change for Victory so far. It's fair enough, I guess. Wanderers going for the second time to the bench now.
So it will be Atia Waraga, the Canberra product, and he's going to replace Liam Gillian. Had some nice involvements, Waraga, against Tigers FC. Back in his home territory, the Territorian. Come through the MacArthur Rams Bulls Academy into Western Sydney. Still intrigued that haven't seen Awan Lual, who's got that goal-scoring knack in the NPL New South Wales. Match sharp at the moment, playing week in, week out, 20 goals for the campaign. For a Western Sydney side who are just sitting outside the top 6. And Melbourne Victory also made a change as well, with Gossani coming into the game for Santos. So he's over there on that right side. Nice turn from Hammond. Gossani trying to put the pressure on him. Now it's Thurgate, which is a wide of goal.
A shot with purpose. Goalwood. Turnover, another cheap one from Victory. And a nice spin before the layoff to Thurgate. Enough time to actually find the target itself. And Hammond doing nicely there, just to set the play up and feed it to his midfield support.
So, mentioned Mikey Gossani. He's made the move from Melbourne City across to Melbourne Victory. The 8 appearances in the A-League, made his debut back in December 2024. Chasing some more match time. Melbourne Victory. Lino linking with Gossani. Now it's Milanovic sliding between a couple. Shot by Dorigo. Thurgate just left the pass too short on Madana. Real aimless pass from Ferreira. Wonder whether he's just a little fatigued.
It's going to be more of an issue. Franco Lino's gone down now, needing some attention. Victory's left fullback.
Ferreira, he came off in the first half against Chelsea early in that match after a knock. Nathan Barry came on, played majority of that match. So just wonder whether he might be feeling the pinch a little bit, as is Franco Lino. So will they make a change here? Melbourne Victory. fans are getting a little bit restless, so the DJs come to life here, Hubs. It's a long stoppage, but it's a great attendance here tonight. Almost 3,000 in the house.
It's close to the ceiling applied for the evening. Logistical issues which forced the authorities to put a cap on the attendance tonight, so it's hit that cap. Good turnout from the Wanderers fans. A few Victory supporters sprinkled through the gathering here tonight as well. It's the really long stoppage. I'm sure why it needs to be quite so long. Franco Lino shouldn't be allowed to take this throw in, surely.
Well, Melbourne Victory is searching for someone to take it. Gosani will take it. Hang on a second. What's happening now? Oh, look at this. Fans in the house. Selfies all around.
Wait for Jason Davidson to make his way back to the centre of the field.
Now he's going to take this.
From the technical area, it's quite bizarre. The referee says he's stopping the watch, but big deal. Just make someone throw the ball in, ref.
Oh, I apologise to everyone who had to deal with those last 2 minutes halves. Those 2 minutes of your life just drifted on by.
We could have apologised if we knew what the heck was going on. And 2 more subs lined up, Benny, now for Victory.
Could have made those changes just then.
I think maybe explanation needed to go. That wasn't much of a timeout for Franco Lino either, just quietly.
Well, here is an opportunity. Borello, nice touch, squares it up, and for a moment it looked as though Waraga was in, but Tarigo, who made that crucial tackle in the opening seconds, was able to snuff out the danger. So, who is it here for Victory? Well, you won't miss him. It's the big boy, Harry Sawyer. It's going to be a couple of Harrys. Another ex-Melbourne City man in Harry Shillington. The Northcote City junior who is going to come into the game. So Grimaldi comes off. And Charles Nduka is slowly walking towards the halfway line, but it's going to be Franco Lino. So Shillington will come on for Lino. And then just wonder how they'll reshuffle here. Melbourne Victory. Well, Harry Sawyer clearly is going to go up front, and then Nduka drop into Grimaldi's spot, just behind him. But they have someone out there, Melbourne Victory, now that can thrust a long throw in the direction of Harry Sawyer if they get in that kind of range. Useful piece of artillery for them. Madana. Milanovic. A few more spaces opening up. Borello. Can he open up the shooting channel? Milanovic. Milanovic scrambling and twisting on the floor. Gosani put under pressure by Madana, who earns it back here for his side. Waraga didn't see Insera coming from his blind side. It won't matter though, because Hammond! Oh, Jack Duncan! Diving up high to push it away from goal, and that's the closest we've come to a goal here tonight at Marconi.
It's taken 84 and a bit minutes for a goalkeeper to earn their paycheck, but Duncan's done exactly that. Wonderful proactive defending from Pantazopoulos to intercept that pass and launch Hammond with the first time release. And And then Hammond, who's been so busy, but without return so far tonight, coming as close as anyone has. Excellent work from Jack Duncan in the victory goal.
So the corner whipped in, headed away by Zirais. Short is the option for Western Sydney. Milanovic, some shape across goal. Pantazopoulos didn't know too much about it at the back post.
Hammond again must have been close on that first ball in from Nick Milanovic.
They are mounting the case here, Western Sydney. Created some good chances in this second half. Still, no goals in it. Extra time beckons if neither of these two sides can find the crucial goal to send them through to the last 8 of the Australia Cup. Thurgate down to the byline. Hammond skews it across, and Hammond again, he was sniffing there around Davidson. Now it's Cicluna.
Well, coming strong, the Wanderers at the moment. 2 saves in a relatively short period of time for Jack Duncan. That one not as much of a test as the first off Hayden Hammond, but still had to be made. Nice burst through midfield by Dylan Cicluna.
Hammond around the corner for Moraga. Well, is that as good as it will get for Western Sydney in regulation time? Is there more? Where that came from. This will be a goal kick. You could be the judge here. Looked like it was Borello. Little stumble there for Borello. Whether he may have just tweaked a little ankle. Madonna turns away from Gosseini. Ooh, may have just turned into trouble there for a moment. Infringement spotted by Adam Bavka. So here is Dorigo with the free kick. All right, well, this is a dangerous situation for Western Sydney. Harry Sawyer, a key target here. But if you focus all your attention on him, the likes of Zirais and Duca, Davidson, is there a change here for victory?
No, I think someone's got some blood maybe coming from the face.
And Sarah's being sent over to get that mopped up. Now, please tell me they're not going to wait for him to get mopped up before they take the free kick harps.
I wouldn't have thought so, but sometimes it's better not to say anything. Looks like this one's going to be play on.
So it will be Dorigo to that back post area where Davidson is. Sawyer getting himself about. All down he goes. Referee says no penalty. And incredibly, Melbourne victory with only 10 out there, with Insera getting the blood wiped off. Created a really dangerous moment.
The referee straight on it. No penalty. No real response from Jason Davidson, the victory player in question. So he'll put his hands out to ask what might have been or not. His teammates were more demonstrative than the skipper himself, winning the header there, doing so very well. Hard to tell on that replay.
So 3 minutes of additional time remaining. One has expired. Shillington with the ball in his hand. Sawyer and Matana. And the throw. He move it quickly here. Alanovic. Attempted to be closed down by Valadon. Gossani. Excellent work from him. Davidson. And Dorigo and Duca. Well, a goal now would surely win it, would surely book a place in the last 8. Is there a moment here? Well, there won't be one here for victory because the flag's up. 2 minutes. Otherwise, we're into an additional 30. And penalties if we're still deadlocked. For those playing along at home, Josh Insera, he's now in number 47 at the shirt changed. Here's Hammond over the top. The strike sat there for Borello, and he laces it across the face.
I think he asked a lot of himself there, Brandon Borello. Tough to execute. Could have taken that in stride towards goal. Defenders were converging, and he has the split second to make the decision. It's a big ask, so it would have been a tough one. It would have been very spectacular and would have won it, you'd imagine.
Well, Harps, in the words of Mike Cockrell, it would have been a goal worthy of winning any game. Let's just say that. The magic of the cup. So Adam Bavka has a little glance at the watch. You reckon this is it here? How interested are Western Sydney here in launching one into the mix-up? You'd think so. Goalkeeper comes up to take the free kick, and well, it's not even allowed to land by the referee, and that is full time at Marconi Stadium, but it's not done and dusted yet. The end of regulation time. Western Sydney Wanderers with some terrific chances in the second half. Melbourne victory with a late penalty shout, but it is going to require an extra 30 minutes at least. Full time at the end of 90 minutes. Western Sydney Wanderers 0, Melbourne victory 0. on Paramount Plus. Western Sydney Wanderers and Melbourne Victory locked at 0-0 at the end of 90 minutes. So we are into extra time. Thank you for spending your Saturday night with us. We are going to get a winner here one way or another. Two new eras colliding here. Ufuk Talay, new boss in charge at Western Sydney. Gio Savarese, the new coach at Melbourne Victory. And thus far, Andy Harper, both sides have cancelled each other out.
Effectively so. Effectively so. I guess one point that was surprising and impressive was the ability of both sets of players. Given the stage of the year that we're at, we're able to play with such intensity for the full 90 minutes. I'm expecting that to drop off at least somewhat, so that there might be a bit more space for players to play. That wasn't the case. Let's see if that becomes something in this extra time period.
One thing for sure, these two coaches, they're building a really strong foundation for a significant season ahead, whether they make it through tonight in the Cup or not. Melbourne Victory, of course, will have AFC Champions League 2 commitments coming up. The draw taking place in the next couple of weeks, so they'll know where they're headed. The Jets Victory and Adelaide United. Aiden Hammett with Waraga, low cross, and didn't matter in the end with the flag up.
And he's looked good off the bench, Waraga. Comfortable on both sides of his body. Powerful athlete as well, just drifting offside on that occasion, but he's been good value for the snippets on show so far since coming off the bench for the Wanderers.
And Harps in that break at full time, Victory were able to find another 16 for Nsera, and he's back in 16 now after briefly wearing 47. So there's a little side note to a fascinating night of Cup football here at Marconi. It'll go down as a very small footnote. But it's not often you see that.
Didn't make the highlights package at the time.
It's Nsera's throw. Now scooped over the top, big Harry Sawyer. Is Zirais. Well, both he and Davidson have got to be careful, considering they're on yellow cards at this point. So both centre backs for Melbourne Victory. And Borello, just for a moment there as he looked to take off after that ball, just looked a little sluggish. You just wonder when Ufuk Talay pushes the Luau button. I'm surprised it's taken this long. Is that surprising for you, or do you think that makes sense?
You need to be given your goal scorers, and he's clearly one in the club, as much time to settle in as possible. Brandon Borello's been working, here he goes again, offside on this occasion. There's a handful, for no other reason, Borello, because of the work rate. Defenders are always under pressure. The game hasn't opened up for him at all. So I guess in one sense, there's no particular expectation that Luala is going to be able to find the space that maybe Borello hasn't. And it hasn't been a situation so far where the Wanderers have been creating plenty of chances and no one to finish them off. They did have a couple of shots that Jack Duckham was forced to save towards the end of normal time. That was the exception rather than the rule. So maybe that's what Uffy is seeing, and if it's going to be a war of attrition, then maybe the young fella might be better saved for a little bit later. The tackle's still flying in. It's been like watching Aussie rules, actually.
Well, two sides that really, you can see both sets of players want to impress their new managers.
Yeah, that's a big point for sure. And they've come with plenty of fight, which is too often in football matches you can accuse one team of not being ready to do the work that's required. I don't think you can say that of either team here. They've both been completely prepared to roll their sleeves up. It's been that type of game. Big challenge. The big question is which, if either of the teams can find players who can move beyond that, exploit some space, find some space, find some creativity.
Referees they come back for that free kick for the little tug from Panasopoulos on Nduka. He thought he'd gotten away with it. Referee did spot it. Just say here, little sneaky tug of the arm. Dorigo. Set piece duty. He's in that back post area. And the cross is scooped up in a good, dangerous area. Scramble, it's off the crossbar and followed in. It's Harry Sawyer who made the move from MacArthur to Melbourne victory in the off-season. And he scores his first competitive goal for victory. And what a time to score it in extra time on the road at Marconi, and they lead 1-0.
Well, his inclusion into the match was late, but he's always shown, even since coming on here, that from set pieces he's been very dangerous. Well, he didn't figure initially. It was Jason Davidson who dug the chance out, and it was a goal poacher impersonation on this occasion from Harry Sawyer. The ball stabbed goalward, Holmes beaten, and the rebound off the crossbar falls to the anticipating Harry Sawyer, who gives victory the lead away from home. And it's MacArthur, Western Sydney Wanderers at their home away from home tonight at Marconi Stadium have got all the work to do now.
And there's a new celebration for Harry Sawyer that's entered the arena.
I was going to get your interpretation on that.
I'd love to see what the judges would give that one.
Well, technical merit was whatever, but artistic impression, you explain it to me.
Well, he's always got something new. Oh, we saw one of the best last year when he picked up one of the Jets mascots. And one of the ball kids. Here is Jelassic trying to shimmy onto the left, shut down. So Western Sydney, they've got to chase the game now. How do they go about that task? Milanovic has it taken off him. And free kick, and out comes the yellow card for Borrello.
It'll be change time now for the Wanderers. Not sure if that foul from Borrello will signal his exit. Wide actually, Aidan Hammond off.
So you'd think he's probably going to go two up top here, unless he's going to drop Borrello back a little further. Lual, who scored against Chelsea last week, was a lovely composed finish after the assist from Carluccio. Carluccio, who is a Chelsea fan. He didn't see the headlines. An opportunity to score against the side he supports. He laid it off beautifully. Luau finished. So can he find a more important goal here in a competitive match with his side trailing 1-0 at home? Pantazopoulos. Cicluna. Milanovic. Cut back onto that left, ran into traffic. Appeals for a free kick for Western Sydney. And the referee heeds those.
Yeah, it's a reasonably good position this for the Wanderers too. See who fancies it. Goes back perhaps. Left fullback. The beautiful left foot is actually strolling towards the vicinity now. Great close control from Milanovic, and the tackle in from behind of Goseni. As judged by the referee, fair enough too. Gersbach has moved away. It's Milanovic, probably the most likely. Barello perhaps offering some sort of decoy.
Well, we talk about Harry Sawyer standing up with his new club. Milanovic has returned to his old club, the club he starred with. And it's Milanovic with a piece of utter magic. Welcome back to Western Sydney, Nicholas Milanovic.
That's a super strike from Nick Milanovic. Keeping in mind it was his beautiful feet that won the free kick in the first place. And whilst those feet were soft in winning that decision, there was nothing soft about this in the execution. Barello with the decoy. He's whipped it wickedly to the near post. Jack Duncan has had no chance of stopping this. And the roar that went around Marconi Stadium on the back of that goal from Nick Milanovic. Quite something. Round of 16 in the cup here at Marconi. And that is a great cup moment for Nick Milanovic. Welcome home.
Oh, well, we know what he can do. And unfortunately for him, it didn't quite come to fruition in Scotland. But you know what? We're the beneficiaries of it because we get to watch him go around in the A-League again this season. We loved watching him in that Johnny Warren medal-winning season in 24-25. And he's back this year. And I can't wait to see more of him if he can produce that week in, week out. What a special moment. And all of a sudden, Western Sydney with the running here. Waraga thwarted at the last moment. Hasn't this match come to life, halves?
That is super defending from Josh and Sarah there. He was odds on. Waraga in on goal. Didn't necessarily do anything wrong, just got outrun by Ensera. Wonderful recovery. Great chance as it was for the Wanderers.
Well, you know what? You at home, those at the venue here, you've sat through a very tight match and you're getting your reward now. Because what a last 10 minutes or so of this one. Victory going in front. Harry Sawyer scoring his first competitive goal for Victory after a hat-trick in their friendly last month. And then Nick Milanovic. My goodness, that is a cup moment for him. Be a corner here for Victory, it will be. What have they got in response here?
Who gets Sawyer? That's the big question. big question for the Wanderers. Whose job does Harry Sawyer become? Unenviable, of course.
It looks as though it's Argentine in Ferreira. This cross, dangerous. It was Sawyer flailing through the air. Now Shillington with an awkward moment here. Goes up and over the top. Waraga tries to link with Luau. Off the arm of Gosseini. Milanovic with the cross. And just a little too much gunpowder behind that. Maybe a bit of adrenaline as well after what we saw moments ago.
But I think more importantly, it was on his right rather than his left foot. That was the big differentiator there. Yeah, it's a great energy in counter-attack. Lual and Waraga, and then as an attack moved from left to right. It ended with Nick Milanovic. His right foot couldn't do what his left foot did so brilliantly just a couple of minutes ago. I don't think there's any signs that either of these teams are looking forward to penalties, which is making for some pretty good viewing halfway through extra time.
Well, and they are back where they started at the end of 90 minutes. Harry Sawyer put Melbourne victory ahead in that 15-minute window. But Nick Milanovic pulled Western Sydney Wanderers back level. And you just feel like could be a sign of things to come this season for these two sides. Half-time and extra time. Western Sydney 1, Melbourne victory 1. Let's watch back a moment of pure brilliance. Eddie Harper.
Yeah, well, this one will get shown plenty, as it should. Just a superb, perfect free kick. There's no one in the world saving that. Just come out of a spectacular World Cup in North America with some spectacular goals, but there weren't many free kicks, if any, that were better than that one from Milanovic. Superb.
Don't you love the celebration?
Asking people to settle down when he must be volcanic inside. It was a wonderful moment. Those fans weren't going to settle down. And right around the ground, there's a good collection, a good gathering here tonight, with albeit a limit on the attendance for one reason or another. But that goal was received incredibly well right around the stadium here.
Well, what a return. What a return. Now, I wonder what he's saying to the fourth official there. Interesting little conversation. Now, Ufi Tale, I think, has gone up to have a chat with the fourth official as well. He enjoys the conversation with the referees, doesn't he, Ufi? So, what is in store for us in the final 15 of this one? You might have just seen the play equipment in the background there of Nick Milanovic. Well, the kids are off the play equipment now. They cannot take their eyes off this one. It is must watch here at Marconi. Final 15 minutes upon us. And a penalty shootout beckons if these two sides cannot be separated. It's been an epic first duel in the Cup for these two sides. Never before have they met. Western Sydney and Melbourne victory in the Australia Cup. Did meet in the A-League finals of years ago. So Cicluna. Vitale right at the edge of his technical area. Giving out some instructions. Barello, what will this be? It's a corner. It's a corner for Wanderers. So it's Thurgate. The right-footed option here. And the delivery high and easy pickings for Jack Duncan. Launches out towards Gossain. Got some serious distance on that throw. Shillington in the direction of Sawyer. Either side able to get control of the ball at the moment. Gossain squeezed in there by Thurgate and Milanovic. Wow, stretch. Clearance from Shillington. Now, is there a problem here for Herman Ferreira? Mentioned before that he was forced off in that match against, I should say it's Pantzopoulos.
There's a little bit of a problem with the assistant referee on the number 2, Claire Green. Stretching her calf muscle. She's looking at the watch. How long have I got to survive here? Done well in a non-controversial match, but has kept up with play without any trouble till now. But we'll just keep a slight eye on that one.
Yeah. It's always an interesting one when the referee has a little bit of an issue with cramp. Ten and a half minutes to go. Free kick for Western Sydney. And Madonna wasting no time, clipping it up to the back post. Pantzopoulos clips it in the air. Lual let it drop. Thought he was going to go for the spectacular there for a moment. And now the whistle does come. There's going to be some tired bodies out there if we go to penalties. Tired bodies, not used to a couple of hours of football. They'll have to step up and take a spot kick. Lua, evade and Serra. Excellent defensive work from Josh and Serra. Likewise, Western Sydney. Pantazopoulos. Now he's stretching something. Still grabbing the cheek.
And a knock on the head on the way. It's very athletic clearance. Intervention from Pantazopoulos. Took a little bit of a knock on the side of the head. Possibly.
Milanovic gets only as far as Zirais. Western Sydney back on the ball. Adana, he's not stopped all night. Yeah, got terrific endurance. There's a decent turn there from the former Adelaide man. Slips it to Lual. And it's a corner for Western Sydney.
Perhaps a little fortuitous for Panache Madana, but the perseverance, as you rightly labelled it, throughout the evening, got him through on that occasion, and then able to release the ball to Lual, who moves with menace. It's fair to say the Western Sydney Wanderers young striker off the bench tonight, top goal scorer for them in the NPL New South Wales. He moves with real menace.
It's Waraga putting the pressure on the goalkeeper in Duncan. Corner sharp towards that near post. Too much bend on it from Milanovic. Thurgate so often does, makes that run into space in the box. Milanovic trying to shift it onto the left. Gets it there for the cross. So another change on the way here. Melbourne victory. So Malik Ulakale is going to make a senior debut. He is coming on for Egan Jelassic. He's been part of the Aussie under-17 setup. Came through Northcote City before moving to Melbourne Victory into their academy. So welcome to senior football, Malik Ulakale. What can he deliver here at the back end of this one? You will not miss him. He's got a great head of hair. Right now, though, Decider looking to defend. So Alex Gersbach, who's marking him at the moment, wouldn't have seen a whole lot of him. Sawyer just doing enough to put off Zapluna, but then foul on Thurgate. As we tick ever so closer to spot kicks to decide a spot in the last 8 of the Australia Cup. Melbourne Victory won in the playoffs on Pens back in 2021, lost a couple of years later against the Jets penalties. But never before have they gone to spot kicks in the final rounds. So Olakali decide a throw. Longish throw in the box. It's cleared away by Cicluna. Now Lual bearing down. Davidson, crashed into Federa, and he's asking for a card. He knows that Davidson is already on a yellow card.
It's pretty willing stuff as well, and then Davidson off balance, just yanks Federa back. Federa asks the referee to provide the sanction, not forthcoming. Relaunching play from the free kick.
Flick on towards Borello. Nice link up with Lual. Milanovic low and hard. And how often has that man come up with a key play for Melbourne victory tonight defensively? Louis Torrigo, you feel like he's been everywhere.
Yeah, it's great. Nice. Some promise there from Milanovic, but you're right, Durigo's been excellent. Valadon, his partner in midfield, excellent as well for Melbourne victory.
Pantazopoulos has to peel off. In the end, it really took any power out of the header. Milanovic beat the first man. Just over 2 minutes of extra time to go. We'll find out how much stoppage time in the second half of extra time. You wouldn't think more than a minute or two. Sawyer's opener for Melbourne victory, cancelled out by Milanovic's stunner. Both coming in the first period of extra time. So Madana, some targets in there. Turn from Borello, trying to sit it up for Gersbach. Now Pantazopoulos. Waraga. Gersbach just couldn't get the right side. And now Melbourne victory with a chance to break. That's nice from Gosseini. Got away from Madana. Opens up here. Shillington, shut down by Ferreira. And he celebrates it like he scored a goal. He puffs his chest out. The Argentine defender. Shillington. He's looking for the long throw. Flicked on by Sawyer. And look at the celebration from Cicluna as well as he wins the goal kick.
There's a scything tackle from Ferreira. Beautiful lead-up play from Gosseini.
It's brilliant to see the passion on show from both of these two sides, especially Western Sydney after such a challenging campaign last time around. So, how much stoppage time will we get here? Just the additional minute. 1 minute to win it. All going to a shootout. Borello, nice turn. Lual there. And just didn't angle the pass. The run of his front man. And that may well extinguish any chance Western Sydney has of winning it here in extra time, much to the displeasure of Ufitale. Melbourne victory, just told to take the ball back a few metres. launch downfield. Nothing doing from that set piece. And full time at the end of extra time. We are off to a penalty shootout to decide whether it's Melbourne Victory or Western Sydney Wanderers who will make it through to the last 8 of the 2026 Australia Cup. Full time at the end of extra time. Western Sydney Wanderers 1, Melbourne Victory 1. We have got the late shift here in the Australia Cup round of 16. Melbourne Victory and Western Sydney Wanderers locked at 1-1 at the end of extra time, so it is down to spot kicks, Andy Harper, to win this one.
It's been a tight game. The scoreboard is completely reflective of how difficult it's been for either team to break away. It looked like they were going to break away. You get to a penalty shootout, what's going to split the hair here? And I don't know, going into it, the only thing that comes to mind so far is on a couple of occasions through the game, Jordan Holmes, the Western Sydney Wanderers goalkeeper, went down. Short of needing to get attention, he did leave his feet a couple of times just to stretch or gather himself. I'm not sure if he's carrying a niggle. That's the only inkling of delineation that I can sense coming into this. What's been a very evenly fought match. And we'll see.
So it's Nick Milanovic, who was the hero in extra time, pulling Western Sydney Wanderers back from a goal down to send this match into extra time. Milanovic v Duncan, and Milanovic unerring. That was a supreme penalty.
Yeah, didn't muck around. That was a bit like the free kick he scored. In some senses, to equalise things. Beautiful, emphatic. Louis Dorigo, one of Victory's best tonight.
Well, he stopped Western Sydney multiple occasions with key last-ditch challenges. Now he takes on Jordan Holmes. And it's a calm penalty from Dorigo, straight down the middle. It's 1-1 in the shootout.
Yeah, very calm from Louis Dorigo. Jordan Holmes jumping out of the way, diving out of the way, anticipating. The ball into the left side as Dorigo was striking. Ball straight down the middle.
So I mentioned during game time, Western Sydney, a couple of penalty shootouts in the Australia Cup final rounds. A win against Blacktown in 2017, a loss against Perth in 2015. Victory in the final rounds have not been to spot kicks. Brandon Borello, a chance to put Western Sydney 2-1 up, and he does just that.
Yeah, not dissimilar from the Dorigo penalty from Brandon Borello. That result exactly the same, of course. Harry Sawyer stepping up.
Well, he put Melbourne Victory ahead in extra time. And Harry Sawyer, well, he's taken penalties around the world, different pressurised situations. He knows what to do, and he makes it 2-2. Dylan Cicluna. And Duncan, he makes the stop. Cicluna denied. Duncan sharp across to his right. Cicluna denied, and Melbourne Victory with Gosseini. The young man who has just moved from Melbourne City, the 18-year-old. And he shows no fear, the teenager, Mikey Gosseini. Advantage Melbourne Victory in the shootout. So now, the leading goal scorer in the NBL New South Wales competition. He scored 20. Golden Boot race leader. Scored against Chelsea last week in the Sydney Super Cup. Now he stares down Jack Duncan, who's just saved Cicluna's penalty. And Duncan does the same. Diving to his right, he stops the penalty of Luau. And the 19-year-old is denied. And now, Charles Nduka with the chance to send Melbourne Victory through to the quarterfinals of the Australia Cup. Just building the suspense. A stutter step. He hits the crossbar and it's out. Western Sydney staying alive for the moment. Well.
Well, indeed. World Cup penalty shootouts invoking the Paraguay-Germany result where Paraguay were home and hosed until they weren't, and then it was nail-biting stuff, and that should have sealed it. It would have sealed it. Nduka hits the crossbar.
Goes back to keep them in it. Duncan with a third save. Jack Duncan, the hero of the shootout. The man in fluoro standing out like a beacon as Melbourne Victory go through to the last 8 of the Australia Cup. And the two-time Cup winners eliminate Western Sydney at Marconi. Well, what a moment that is for Jack Duncan. A stalwart of this competition. And it is his moment in the sun here. 3 penalty stops in the shootout to send Melbourne Victory on their way to the quarterfinals of the 2026 Australia Cup. So full time, it finishes here at Marconi Stadium. Western Sydney Wanderers 1, Melbourne Victory 1. Victory win it on penalties 3-2.